A preventable epidemic, obesity in the United States. Obesity can be defined as an excessive amount of fat accumulating in the human body. It is a prevalent and threatening epidemic in the United States caused by preventable factors. Food culture has a big influence on this issue, especially with the high levels of fast food consumption in the United States and socioeconomic disparities. Obesity is becoming one of the most prominent causes of preventable deaths, such as cardiovascular diseases and diabetes, making it an especially dangerous epidemic in the United States. The unawareness of detrimental habits brought by fast food companies, the lack of access and education due to socioeconomic disparities, and the overall idleness of the United States lifestyle are all contributing to the disease that could be preventable with widespread efforts. Simply educating the population, decreasing harmful additives such as trans fat, and encouraging physical activity could be the cure to the multitude of diseases brought on by this epidemic. Fast food restaurants can be seen all over the United States. However, the number of them has exponentially increased over the past 50 years, positively correlating with the high levels of obesity in the United States as well. In a 20-year period within this expansion, the total consumption of fast food in the United States has increased from 2% to 10%, which is also positively related to the higher levels of weight gain in the human population. The expansion of fast food restaurants has also made them more widespread and readily accessible to people of the population, such as those driving along the highway looking for a quick bite to eat on their road trip. Their portion sizes have also caused big problems within the United States. They are unrealistic compared to the normal at-home cooked meal portion sizes. McDonald's even used to have a supersized menu, which was removed after the negative response from the 2004 Super Size Me documentary. However, the removal of this extra caloric version of the menu did not make a great difference. A large order of French fries from McDonald's from the 2006 menu was only a slightly smaller portion compared to the supersized 1998 fries. Also, compared to earlier menus such as the 1955 menu, the portion of fries have increased by a whopping 250%, soda by 457%, and hamburgers by 500%. The portion sizes are completely unrealistic and unhealthy for today's society and are simply advertised as bigger is better, when in this case, it definitely is not. Fast food's also being marketed to children as well, prompting brand recognition in their minds, which is not always the healthiest when they're not offering the healthiest option. Fast food children's meals are high in total fat and trans fatty acids, have high caloric density, and offer very little nutritional value, according to a study done by the National School Lunch Program. The study also found that only 3% of the fast food children's meals met the NSLP criteria for healthy meals, simply because they offered milk and fruit on the side. These fast food chains, such as McDonald's, also offer free toys with every meal. They have brightly colored fun packaging such as their Happy Meals, cartoon mascots that they use in targeted commercials as well. These commercials are all over children-friendly network channels such as Disney and Nickelodeon. And a study found that in 96 half-hour blocks, there were 130 food-related advertisements, most of them being fast food. Fast food restaurants also have excessive amounts of trans fat in their meals. This is due to the fact that they believe that they'll make the food taste better and make consumers want to come back more and more. They use this high level of trans fat to make the shelf life longer and to make the meals more appetizing. However, it can be very detrimental to heart health and has a positive correlation to cardiovascular diseases. In countries like France, where there have big limitations on the use of trans fatty acids in restaurants, They also have a significantly lower rate of heart disease than countries like the United States. However, New York is a state that has attempted to combat this issue by putting in place a limitation of the amount of trans fat that restaurants are allowed to use, also encouraging replacements. Restaurants have not been very receptive to this limitation due to their economic standpoint on the use of trans fats in their foods. Socioeconomic disparities are also an influential factor in the obesity epidemic. Many people in the United States simply do not have access to nutritional options when it comes to food. For instance, a cheap meal from McDonald's might be the easier option than a drive out to a grocery store to cook dinner. Many studies have been done looking at the levels of obesity in different races. For instance, one study in 2012 was done and found that 10.9% of Asians are obese, 33.4% of whites, 42% of Hispanics, and 47.8% of blacks. There is also a similar correlation between the different races in the United States and the average annual income, emphasizing the socioeconomic disadvantage when it comes to obesity and malnourishment. Also, another issue when it comes to low-income communities and nutrition are food deserts. Food deserts can be defined as rural or smaller neighborhoods in towns without ready access to fresh and healthy and affordable food. Food deserts are most commonly found in communities with low-income areas, communities of color, where many people do not have cars. About 23.5 million people live in food deserts. Studies have also found that urban residents who purchase groceries at small neighborhood stores pay between 3 and 37% more than suburbanites buying the same products at their supermarkets. Potential solutions that have been found helpful so far are nonprofit organizations in these areas, and their food banks. Food banks have also been no longer accepting any fatty, non-nutritional foods such as cakes, candies, and sodas in an attempt to focus solely on nourishing its visitors. Michelle Obama has also worked with her Let's Move campaign to combat childhood obesity, which includes a goal of eradicating food deserts by 2017, which has not fully happened yet, but it's on its way. She had a $400 million investment from the government focused on providing tax breaks to supermarkets that open in food deserts. Obesity has also shown to have a strong relationship with education. It is found that the said disparities are widening due to declining levels of obesity among children whose parents have a college degree or more education, even as the prevalence of obesity increases among children whose parents have a high school degree or less. This emphasizes the importance of education when it comes to health for oneself and others, as well as the potential multi-generational impact. Obesity is directly associated with diseases such as cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. It has a correlation with high cholesterol levels, which is proven to negatively affect cardiovascular health. It is also an independent risk factor for strokes in correlation to high cholesterol levels as well, found in people with above average body mass index, also known as BMI. Hypertension is also related to a high BMI, which involves larger than average increases in blood pressure. Type 2 diabetes is another risk factor paired with obesity and a high BMI. There is an increase in insulin resistance in the body, which harms the body's glucose control in the bloodstream. Type 2 diabetes can then lead to other conditions such as kidney disease and neuropathy. Thus, efforts to reduce the obesity epidemic are exceptionally important for the health of the body as a whole and to extend one's quality of life. Physical activity is both an issue and a solution involved in the obesity epidemic. It has been suggested as an essential requirement for decreasing the incidence of obesity and reducing the number of overweight individuals, due to the fact that it balances the homeostasis of the consumption and burning of calories. However, in the recent years, there has been an increase in the time spent watching television, which has then caused more of a sedentary lifestyle, relating back to the obesity epidemic and the lack of physical activity involved in today's society. Obesity is one of the most dangerous conditions a person could be plagued with. However, it is completely preventable with important lifestyle changes and conscious decisions when it comes to nutritional choices. However, challenges do arise, such as socioeconomic disparities. The majority of the time, people make these unhealthy decisions because of monetary issues or simply the unavailability of nutrients. However, if the United States were to come together to combat this epidemic as a united front, there would be more success in becoming a healthier nation, which in turn would bring a higher quality of life.